Welcome to CRE Fast 5, where we detail hot topics in commercial real estate in 5 minutes or less. I'm Carly Iacono, and tonight we are comparing and contrasting the retail strategy of Microsoft versus Apple. You've probably already heard the news that Microsoft has decided to shutter all 85 of their retail locations in the United States. I don't think this is really a huge surprise, but some are taking it as, of course, the end of retail as we know it. If Microsoft, a stable, profitable company, can't make it, then who can? I want to break down where I think Microsoft went wrong and what Apple is doing right so we can see what we can take away from this to make retail more successful moving forward. So let's start with Microsoft. Their average store footprint was about 3,000 square feet. All but 3 of their stores were opened within a mile of an Apple store. So they started opening retail locations only in 2009 as a direct attempt to steal market share from Apple. Their store formats were very experiential, so they did some things right. However, they were confusing. You had an area for virtual reality gaming. You had an area for Microsoft Business that was very dry and bland looking. You had an area for their Ask and Help desk, which was, of course, in direct competition with Apple's customer service and their experts. You had an area with all these different accessories and different brands and different products. There was too much going on. So it was unclear why the consumer would need to go into the store. And if they were going to go in, I don't think they left with a product as frequently as they did when they went into the Apple store, because it was confusing to learn about everything new. Now, before they decided to shutter the stores, which obviously was just announced, only 3% of Microsoft's sales came from bricks and mortar. And I think not only was this attributable to their confusing store format, but I also think it has to do with what they are identifying themselves with as a company. So right now, Microsoft Office and Windows are their 2 biggest programs and 2 biggest sellers and drivers of revenue. Now, both of those can be downloaded online and really don't require any consumer engagement. Now, where I think they're being short-sighted is on the Xbox and Surface lines. Both of those are very much interactive. And I think over time, their interaction with their consumer is going to erode if they don't have a location where people can go in and really get excited about the technology. So they'll continue to do fine as a download company, hardware and software based, but they're losing that edge by not being able to engage with the consumer in the same way. Now, I will stop and note here that they are keeping open 4 experience-only centers for this purpose, but I don't think that's enough. They're not going to be reaching people in their communities. These are going to be sort of flagship touch points, things that they can use for marketing. I think one's in New York, London, one in their headquarters in Washington. So these aren't going to be widespread across the country, and maybe it'll be fun for publicity, but I think that's really about it. Now let's compare and contrast that to Apple. Apple's store footprints are about 8,400 square feet. They started opening retail locations all the way back in 2001, so they did have a jump on Microsoft, and about 30% of their sales last year came from bricks and mortar retail locations. So that's a very big chunk of revenue to come from that actual physical footprint. So how their stores are set up, and I'm sure you've all been in one, but it's much more streamlined and they are always packed. So when you walk in, they are very aware of a minimalistic design. The focus immediately is on the products. There's not a lot of signage, there's not a lot of pricing information, and there's not a ton of variety. It is clean. You go in and immediately you want to pick up the latest thing, an iPhone, an iPad, whatever it is. And also note that a lot of their products are designed very similarly, both in functionality and in aesthetics. So if you are already an iPhone user, it's easy for you to go pick up an iPad and understand how to use it. They've also been very careful with product placement. So if you're looking at new iPhones, there will be a wall of iPhone cases behind you and nothing else. Only things that are quick and easy to pair with the gadget that you are currently looking at. So very streamlined experience. Their help desk and their technicians are exceptionally well trained, and they make you feel comfortable. So Apple has found a way to make their products not only easy to use for the everyday consumer, but then they have extra classes and levels of service for maybe users who aren't as familiar to immediately engage with the brand. And finally, what I think is most important, they have positioned their products as luxury goods. So the feel of the store is kind of exclusive, it's fun, it's bright, it's exciting, but it's minimalistic at the same time, very similar to the ultra high-end retailers who have less products, a lot more space in the store to showcase individual items. So Apple has done a great job with their branding, with their product presentation, and then the overall feel and layout out of the stores to make it a positive shopping experience where people actually come in and leave with a product. They don't come in just to kind of shop and browse and get confused and then shop online. They come in, they buy it, they leave, and it's a great touch point for Apple. The only thing I think that they need to be aware of is making their products stale. So as long as we keep saying a slight iteration of innovation from Apple in their product mix, maybe one new item that complements the line each year, some upgrades to the existing items, they are going to continue to have this brand loyalty. If they stop innovating, which I don't think they will, that's where they risk losing the consumer base and having less engagement on their retail locations. That was Siri Fast 5. I'm Carly Iacono. I look forward to seeing you again soon.